Well, terrific. I just moved the car to get out from under the tree to stop the raindrops from hitting the roof, and that didn't work. I'm under the harbour bridge, and it's the bridge is dripping as well as the rain, I guess. So, wow. I don't know, it's just raining really hard. It is daytime, by the way. It's just a miserable winter's day. So anyway, two things I'm working on. Number one is a list of top 10 things that I no longer believe. And number two is, in order to do that, I'm going to do a little bit of being a skeptic myself. Now, it is important that you realize that I still believe in the Nicene Creed. I believe in a creator who sent his son Jesus to die for our sins, blah, blah, blah. Still believe all that stuff. There's no scientific evidence to prove any of that happened or that God exists or whatever, but that's a completely different, that's more of an emotional, spiritual, faith-based thing, which is I pray, I talk to God, and God answers me back, so I'm in a relationship with God. That's the only way I can explain it in simple atheistic terms. And then you go, well, it could be just a voice in your head. Well, whatever, okay, fine. It could be a voice in my head, I don't know. So the voice in my head answers my prayers and grants me occasions and coincidences and what do you call it, deja vu or whatever, just synchronicities. You know, it could be the universe there that grants me synchronicities and stuff like that. Anywho, so top 10 things I no longer believe. It's really can't get my head around the list, so I can name about 3 of them. You know, obviously number 1 is I no longer believe that Freemasons are an evil corporation / secret society that's trying to rule the world. And the thing that debunked it for me at the end, I mean, I did a lot of research into real Freemasons and not the conspiracy ones, and you know, I came to the conclusion that it's all a load of junk, that Tolstoy or some dude, I've forgotten the name, it's been a few months since I looked it up, that guy wrote a fucking fictitious thing about Satan as God and Lucifer as Satan's brother, or whatever the hell it is, and a lot of conspiracy nuts use Hoax Museum, that's the website I got the information from. A lot of Christian conspiracists use that nonsense to claim that you know, Freemasons are evil. I was also told in my church that if you're friends with a Freemason or you marry a Freemason, then there's a curse put on your life, your money, your economy, your health, and your children, and your children's children's. So, you know, I no longer believe that. The thing that really killed it for me is the fact that the flat earthers obviously use Barry Smith's information, Freemason information, which is based on Hoax Museum's information. But not Hoax Museum, but there's a thing there, forgotten, who cares, to debunk the fact that if we've been to the moon, that the moon is round, that the earth is round, and whatever. I mean, that's just, that's stuff that I've never personally, you know, even heard of. I've never even heard of that until I started. What happened was I really wanted to know how seasons work, because it's winter here, and I just spoke to my friend in Canada yesterday, and it's it's his first day of summer there, and it's the first day of winter here. So how does that work? So I did research into that, and was learning about it. Then all of a sudden, I came across a video called "How Seasons Work on a Flat Earth Model," and I just thought, okay, well, this is weird, but I'll watch it anyway, and I just got hooked on how silly the information is. So yeah, weird, man. Anyhow, so I have learned a lot of stuff from Sir Sick and Reg Rhetoric and the Godless Engineer and stuff like that. I've learned a lot of science stuff from people who debunk flat earthers, so that's been really cool, because I've just learned so much, and I've got apps now that show me where the moon is and where the stars are, and getting into that stuff now, which is really cool. It's so cheap to do. Just look out the window, there's the moon, It's like, okay, because it's kind of something that I've always wanted to do, but never had the motivation. Now I have, it's like I'm using the flat earth debunkers to motivate me to do science. So anyhow, I know what you're going to say. If you're doing science, how come you still believe in God? Yeah, let's not go into that. I mean, I still believe in God. And there's no scientific evidence, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, fine. I'll give you that one. So, top 10 things. So, the other major thing for me is I was told that, now, you may not believe that I used to believe this, but I did. Not only heavy metal destroyed marriages and draw children into the occult. Obviously, the biggest thing that I now understand is that people into heavy metal don't even believe in a Satan, or if you're a King James, only a Lucifer, because there's no Lucifer in the modern Bibles. So, Satanist Anton LaVey didn't believe in a being called Satan, and a lot of Christians who are still stuck in that mentality are like, oh yes he did, oh that's the worst Satanists to sacrifice babies to God and to Allah, Satan, one of them, which deity today. So there's a whole lot of mishmash that I no longer believe, that I'm just putting a list together, so it's not clear in my mind just yet. But heavy metal, Iron Maiden, I just bought the whole catalogue of Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, and I'm just listening to it thinking, this is cool. I wish I'd listened to this when it was back in the day. When I'm listening to it now, it's like, this is cool. I've got some new favourite songs now. So and of course Dio, he passed away, and now I'm a huge Dio fan. Not just I could have been a dreamer in heaven and hell anymore. There's whole new songs, bunch of new songs that I really tap my foot to now. So am I, am I going to become a Satanist now because I'm listening to Sabbath and Kiss and Dio and Priest and that? It's a taboo. It wasn't, back in the 80s, it was a taboo for a Christian to listen to that stuff, and if you were listening to that stuff, then they would pray for you and lay hands on you. And I've been in a situation where the church came around and burnt hundreds and hundreds of dollars of my Iron Maiden records and stuff. I never got to listen to it because they burned it before the only song I knew back then when they were burning my records was Number of the Beast and Run to the Hills. So anywho, and of course the t-shirt thing where they ripped off my t-shirt, which was a striped t-shirt. So you can't, if you're a Christian, you can't listen to heavy metal. It's evil. But if you're a Christian, you can't listen to Christian heavy metal. Striper, Bloodgood, Vengeance Rising, shout, mortification, etc. So they ripped my Striper t-shirt off and threw me to the ground and cast out devils of Striper out of me. I've been through some weird stuff, man. So I no longer believe that heavy metal people who write heavy metal music believe in a devil. I'd say that Venom really does. I mean, I don't think that he's a fake. I know Blackie Lawless was kind of into it, but there are people that may, but Slayer, I've been to Slayer concerts. I didn't tell the church I'd gone, but I went to a Slayer concert. That was cool. And of course, South of Heaven's my favourite all-time song of the whole Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, what do you call it, type of music? San Francisco, heavy thrash, the whole thing, the whole genre of that. South of Heaven's my favourite song, and Seasons in the Abyss is number 2 on that list. And having said that, just a little sidetrack, I hate covers. I don't hate covers, but I love covers. But I'm very fussy about the cover. It has to be spot on. And so there are some versions of Slayer doing their own songs live that suck, that I don't like, So when I say cover, I mean even if the own band, the band that performed it or wrote it, do it in a weird way, I don't like it. So I heard South of Heaven live first, and so I don't like the original CD version, album version. It's a bit lame, but so little things like that. But I've discovered this dude, I've forgotten his name, Pink Pig or something, and he does like covers of old songs, and he turns them into thrash death metal. Some of them are really funny, really cool. And that banjo group that does covers of Paradise City and other Guns N' Roses songs, they're really cool. I like covers, but some of them, I watch them till the singer starts, and then I just do a Simon. It's just like, yeah. Like that little girl that does Sabbath covers and Dio covers, and that she's spot on, but there's just this one song she just doesn't get right, just doesn't nail. And I try and listen to it, but nah. So it's just me. Covers are they have to have that. I watched this guy last night that did Hendrix, right? Spot on, dressed like Hendrix, sung like Hendrix, played the guitar the opposite way to Hendrix, but still used the triad chords and that. But there was just something lacking, and I watched it, but I didn't really get into it, sort of thing. Anyway, we're doing a list, aren't we? Yeah. So I'm about to see Han Solo the movie. So I'm sitting here under the bridge in the pouring rain, putting my thoughts down on camera, and then I'm going to get some Macca's, and then I'm going to see Han Solo. And I know that a lot of people don't like it, but I'm just going to go in with an open mind. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. That's another thing that should go on your list. Dave Hunt was like, Star Wars is based on Hinduism. It's another thing I no longer believe, that a science fiction movie is promoting a evil religion from a Christian point of view, Hinduism. His video is about Hinduism was trying to take over the world. It's called Gods of the New Age. That Star Wars has been used by Lucas to promote Hinduism and to get rid of Christianity. There's some nutty stuff out there that I used to buy into. That just wow. When I really think about it, it's like now it's like, you used to believe that shit? Oh man. So there's the whole King James only thing for a week. So this one won't go on my list because most of the stuff I used to believe, I believed for years, from 1989 to 1999, for a decade. Basically till Barry Smith passed away. I've forgotten when that happened, 2000 something. We were going to go see him. For those who don't know who he is, just do a YouTube search. He's very he's very homophobic about everything, so you'll have to fast forward through those bits, but yeah. Anyhow, so I was doing some research because I've studied Greek and Hebrew and Latin and hieroglyphics and whatever, hieratic, Demotic. And I was doing some Bible research into languages, and I came across the a Polyglot Bible, which is a Bible basically in 6 different languages. It's wicked, it's cool. And through that book, I came across a speaker. I came across Kale Riplinger anyway. And I listened to her, and for a whole week I believed, this is really ridiculous, because I know Greek and I know Hebrew, but for a whole week I bought into the notion that the King James Bible is the only word of God that one should be reading, and all others were evil, written and influenced by the devil, and that you should basically destroy, burn, get rid of all other Bibles except the King James Version. And of course, now that I know that there's about 4 or 5 different King James versions, they've actually got in the cult, those codes that have a specific file number, like CDE, hash code or whatever the hell it's called. Well, they've got a King James Bible that's the unaltered King James Bible. All the other King James Bibles have been altered in some way. Whether it's got maps in it or some evil thing like that. So, yeah, I no longer believe that, but I believed it for a week. And if it wasn't for James White, I don't know what would have happened. I suppose it would have taken more than a week to get out of that mentality. But buying into something, this is what it's all about. How do you buy into a flat earth? How do you buy into a King James only cult mentality? I mean, the arguments, in my case for the King James, you could be convinced without doing any research. You could be convinced that what they're saying is true and that their reasoning is logical. And I guess the only reason was because Barry Smith was a King James onlyist, and I had friends who were King James onlyists at the time, Fred. So I was influenced by King James only people until for a week I became one myself, and I lasted a week, and then I saw James White and just totally thought to myself, what the hell was I believing that for? So, top 10 list of things I no longer believe. I really don't. That's all I've got so far. What I'm gonna do to become a skeptical of things myself. Do you believe in a world government, Illuminati, Trilateral Commission? I don't. I don't know anymore. I just don't care. I really don't care about Jesus Christ is going to come in a week's time, and the Trilateral Commission are going to get China to invade Israel to go to war with with Christ, and I just don't care. I mean, it's going to happen. Jesus Christ is going to come back, and China and Gog and Magog of Moscow, shut up, just a joke. Magog and Gog are going to attack Jesus Christ, and all that's going to happen. But I'll be long gone by then. I don't care, really. I don't really care. I mean, if there's a tribulation, the Christians go. We're not even here on this planet. There's the movie that atheists like to giggle at, that, or Left Behind, all the Christians will just disappear. Well, that's going to happen, but is it going to happen in my lifetime? Probably not. I don't care. I'm not going to let any of that crap worry me anymore. So anyway, I'm going to be debunking 10, because you like 10 of the most convincing ghost YouTube clips. I'm not going to do UFOs. It's just Reds. Was it Reds? I think the Armoured Skeptic. The Armoured Skeptic has debunked UFOs and UFO cults and that. So I'm zero. I'm back to zero on UFOs again. The only reason I bought into the whole UFO conspiracy was because a Christian, and it wasn't Bob Lazar, it was a Christian called Stan Deyo, said that he invented UFOs. And this is a Christian preacher. I don't know if he's a qualified preacher or whatever, but his name's Stan Deyo. And I got a hold of his tapes through a friend of mine and started buying into that. And so I believed that UFOs were evil spirits, demons, well, mainly Nephilim. I believed that they were Nephilim coming into our universe, filtering into our space-time dimension in the shape of UFOs. For what purpose, I have no idea. Well, to promote the idea of UFOs. So that the Antichrist, see, Chuck Missler himself said the Antichrist is going to claim that he is from Venus or another world. So Chuck Missler unfortunately passed away a month ago, so why do I have to wait for the teachers to pass on before I start not believing in them? Because if you're listening to their MP3s or their YouTube videos or whatever, their CDs every day of your life, over and over, which I did with Chuck, you buy into it. And I still believe most of what Chuck says, except for he was a King James onlyist. He didn't promote it, but he was a fan of Gail Riplinger. So, that kind of got me really annoyed. So, yeah, it really screwed up on that, and he's supposed to be the expert on everything. So, yeah. And a lot of his science is being debunked by Armoured Skeptic and Sisik and all that, which I don't like them doing it, because I spent so many years learning that information. I don't want to unlearn it, but I'll kind of change a few things if they can absolutely prove his stuff wrong. I mean, I now know the Michelson-Morley experiment was to do with ether. I'm sure that Chuck has a completely different version of what that experiment was about, but I'll go back to that CD and listen to it, and whatever he says, it's like, okay, you're wrong there. So, there are a few things changing here and there about certain bits of information. But I will always be a young Earth creationist. You know, that's just how I am. That's who I am. It just makes more sense. And there's a thing about gravity that backs up the young Earth theory. So, you know, I'll dig into that and study it, and if it's wrong, then it's wrong. I'm not a staunch young Earth creationist anymore, but, you know, got hundreds of Ken Ham books and videos and CDs and stuff, so I know you're going to laugh at that. So anyway, I was talking about ghosts, so I'm going to watch the top 10 ghost videos, not UFOs, because UFOs are the footage is so blurry and out of focus and crap, so too hard, don't care. Ghosts, top 10, I'm going to blow the videos up, expand them, make them as clear as I can, pause them on the actual ghost, and then become a skeptic myself of whether this ghost is real, or there's a word for if you're seeing things that aren't really there, that are there, like a house that looks like a face, you know, that sort of thing. There's a word for that. There is one that I've already figured out is actually it's like a knob on top of a banister that looks like a child's face from a certain angle, but if you look at the other photo, it's not the little boy, and that's the most famous one of all. That's, you know, the rectory, whatever it is. So yeah, so we'll do the top 10. You know, number 10 is going to be that thing where the wood just rips off the wall. I mean, that is real. So we'll finish with a real one. Apparently the one where that spirit grabs the guy and drags him down the corridor is fake, so I'll look into why that's fake. I really can't decide for myself yet whether things are fake or real. So this is actually a big thing for me. It's like when you're in a cult, when you're growing up believing the most weirdest, strangest, weird things, you lose the ability to become a skeptic, to decide in your own head whether something is true or false. You are told what to believe, you are told how to believe it, and you are told why you believe it. And to question those three things, it makes you a sinner. It makes you, oh, you're not spiritually minded anymore. You're losing your faith. You're backsliding. So for me to actually question whether something's real or fake, and this probably goes for flat earthers as well, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal, and it uses a lot of brain matter, and it uses a lot. You have to do a lot of research, you have to do a lot of thinking, and come to your own conclusions, which is something you don't have to do that in a cult. You don't have to come to a conclusion. You're told what the conclusion is. So I am off to McDonald's, and then I'm going to see Han Solo, and I'll tell you whether I personally, there you go, there's one for you. I'm going to tell you if I personally enjoyed it or I didn't personally enjoy it, and I'm going to put half in the bag. Haven't watched their review of it yet. I haven't watched AVGN's review of it yet. So I'm going to decide for myself whether I liked it or not. So when I do my next video, that's what that's going to be about. Is Han Solo really a good movie, or is it the bad movie that it's hyped up to be? Bye! Right by flying.